All right, it is 12:05, so we are going to get ready to go. My webcam is on. Hopefully you can see me. Don't worry, you won't have to see me for the full thing. Just wanted to introduce myself. Again, my name is Jason Hansen. I'm with Local Digital. We are so excited. This is going to be, as I said, fast and furious. We have a lot to cover. I'm really excited because of who's going to be giving the presentation. I'm going to give you some quick facts about Shannon Kinney. She doesn't like these type of things, but hey, I have to mention it. She has worked with over 35,000 small businesses. So she understands the angst small businesses have when it comes to marketing, digital marketing. Not only that, she's helped build some big brands, careerbuilder.com, cars.com. I've had the privilege to sit under her when she's giving presentations, and you always learn a lot. But now we're also, for over, say, almost 2 years, we are partnered with Shannon Kinney and her team. So we have a national presence. We get to work with her. You're going to enjoy this. So quick facts, some quick things before we head into it for you. Again, this is going to be recorded, so I will email you to get you the recording. This is going to be a 30,000-foot view on how digital marketing is changing, on how people are looking for lawyers, looking for help. This is going to be a lot of good information, but you need to see how it specifically applies to you. So what we do for everyone, it doesn't matter the size of your firm, where you are, we give a 30,000-foot view to a one-on-one. What is the digital audit? What is the way your firm, how are you doing in light of your competitors and the market when it comes to digital marketing? So it's a free report. It goes over, again, what your competitors are doing, what the market around you looks like, how people are able to find you, what opportunities you're missing. It takes these big, great ideas and makes them very practical. So I'll have information at the end where you can email me and we can schedule that. And again, there's no strings attached. This isn't a timeshare or anything like that. We want this to be as helpful as possible. And we do have time for questions, possibly. So as we're going through this, make sure to submit your questions. I'll take note of them. And if we have time at the end, we'll get to them. We'll end promptly. We may stay on a few minutes longer to answer your questions. So are you guys ready for this? Hopefully you are. Shannon, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Jason, and thanks so much to the Light Digital and each of you for having me here today. As Jason covered, this is going to be a 30,000-foot view, and there's a lot of information contained today, but today's presentation will be available to you, so don't worry. Now, what we're going to cover is not technology, it's how marketing is changing and different tips and priorities for you to shine online for your practice and your firm, and different ways we can help if you need it, whether it be resources for you to do it yourself or whether it be some assistance with it. But ultimately, as Jason noted, I mean, this is moving very quickly, and as the internet and social media in particular have grown, they've radically changed not only the way people consume information and share ideas, but also how businesses promote themselves. And that has had a big shift on many law firms because they're used to buying advertising and doing marketing in a very different way. And we wanted to focus on the best ways for you to grow your practice this year. Now, that said, in traditional marketing, the question used to be, how do your prospects find you? Are they coming to find you through yellow pages? Was traditionally a large driver in your industry, as was word of mouth and referrals, and in which pieces were working the best? Now, what you really need to be doing for your practice is thinking a step ahead. Where do current and future clients find what they need? And I can tell you there's one of two things people do when they're looking for service now. They're either going to go to a search engine and, as I illustrated here, try to find an attorney near them, or bankruptcy attorney or family attorney near them, or they're going to ask their friends, which is word of mouth. And so we've broken up today's presentation to cover search and social, which are two of the biggest aspects in terms of how to make your practice shine online. So starting with search, people know that they need an attorney, or they may know that they have a challenge or question that an attorney can answer, and they might type that question into a search box. And one of the most critical things for you as a lawyer or a marketing professional for a law practice is to make sure that your firm, your lawyers as individuals can be found on search. It is a primary mode of people finding information. The vast majority of all searches are local, and 97% of consumers here in the United States are searching for local services online because it is so easy. And so it is really transformed and shifted what used to be a go find my phone book behavior to now type in what I'm looking for into the search box. And I wanted to share with you that when it comes to search, mobile is a significant player. More than half of all searches this month alone were on a mobile phone. According to Google, the number goes between 50 and 65% of searches are happening on a mobile device, but particularly a phone. And when you look at social, Facebook's 1.5 billion users, 92% of them, nearly all users, are accessing it via mobile at least some of the time. Just under half of them all of the time are mobile-only users. So you not only need to be found on search, you really need to think about what is the experience for a consumer that's trying to find you via a small screen. And when it comes to search engines, you know, we're a little lazy here in the United States. We expect to find things pretty quickly. 90% of searchers stop after the first page. 75% stop after 5 listings, which means they're not even scrolling. So ultimately, you need to be found not just under your name, but under the questions you think a consumer might be asking that you can answer. And if you have any questions about how to get found on a search engine, as Jason pointed out, how you're already doing on a search engine, or mobile, our team can help you, and the report that he's talked to you about will at least let you know if we see any opportunities or challenges for you there. So really, when it comes to search and a mobile website, that's sort of your foundation of how to shine online. The second aspect, or really third aspect on how to shine online, is about social media. And for you, we really call this where word of mouth and referrals are happening. In many lines of business, it's also a considerable customer service outlet, but in your industry, it's primarily driven towards word of mouth, referrals, and brand awareness. In preparing for today's webinar, I leveraged the Attorney at Work social media survey of 2015, and it talked about a real high penetration of lawyers using social media, even higher than I expected. Of their surveyed respondents, 91% are using social media, but 64% of them feel like it's really a solid part of their marketing strategy versus just having a page and posting sometime. So you really want to think about how social media fits into your overall strategy for promotion. Does it echo and support what you're doing in traditional media or through other events that you're offering? Now, when it comes to social media, out of the many channels that are available, LinkedIn, which is a professional social network, is the number one for attorneys. In most industries, Facebook is by far the largest. In yours, Facebook comes in number 3 after nothing. So really, LinkedIn is the big player here. The good news about that also is LinkedIn is a straight business-to-business social network. You don't have to chat it up with people as much, and it is a much more straightforward approach for most attorneys. I would argue that where we see a significant benefit for you and a real opportunity is on Google+, which here is the 5th one with only 3%. If you are able to leverage that channel, which we'll talk about a bit more towards the end of today's seminar, you'll find that not only does it increase your brand awareness, it can have a significant impact on how high you rank in search. So just a few tips on, regardless of what channel you're using, how to shine online with social. You want to connect widely. One of the questions I often get from attorneys is, I have all these people trying to connect with me on LinkedIn and I don't know, do I accept them, do I not? Ultimately, we all need attorneys at certain points in our lives, so I would recommend that you connect widely and post on a regular basis to stay top of mind with people. That doesn't mean every day, but it does mean have a regular process by which you are posting things, and also monitoring your pages to see if any inquiries have come in. We monitor the pages that we manage for businesses throughout the U.S. heavily, and we had one attorney that was a client of ours, or law firm that was a client of ours. We had notifications if anything happens to their pages, and we were able to stop in real time a situation with somebody posting inappropriate content from an ethics standpoint on their pages. So you definitely want to pay attention to your pages so you can respond to inquiries, but also make sure that the guidelines in your industry are something that your audience is following. You want to discover and share content primarily around being a resource. If you happen to see a good article on, say, 10 tips for creating a will, or 5 reasons you want to have your will reviewed by an attorney, share that with your audience, because that's what they're looking for from you. If you do have a blog or post any content of your own, and that could even just be a few times a year, it doesn't need by any means to be a daily experience, but if you are able to offer that, they are a terrific opportunity to establish your expertise and thought leadership in a space. If you have different specialties in your practice, they can be a nice way to distinguish yourselves from other people in your field. And have consistent branding. Make sure that whatever social channels you do echo in look and feel with your website, and that your website has links to those channels to encourage your audience to find you wherever they are. A couple more tips on how to shine on social for your practice is creating content worth sharing. If I see something on your page, do I want to share it with my friends? That tends to make you very successful on social. Channels are all different, and we're going to talk about that for a minute, in a few minutes, about each different channel and how to tailor your message. You definitely want to listen and respond to people and stimulate conversation, because that's one of the reasons people are looking for you on social media instead of your website, is they're expecting it to be a more interactive experience. Building engagement with your content in many cases comes down to creating content that people want to like, comment, or share. And the more that you can create that type of content, the more successful you'll be. Now, in your industry, obviously, one of the key things to watch out for are ethics. And most concerns when it comes to social media isn't about the posts that you're doing, and do you need to be very limited in what you say in your posts. Most precedent that has been set in areas where people are the most vulnerable are around real-time interaction. And so in that case, it could be somebody posting on your page something that shouldn't be there, or something that you're doing in response to someone. So if you're concerned about social media, first of all, make sure that you have a standard of treatment, that everyone that's touching your pages is educated on what your plan is, and then monitor and set up notifications about real-time interaction. Now, a couple of the areas where real-time interaction are ones that you need to be most thoughtful about are solicitation. Some states have guidelines around advertising on social media that you have to be aware of, and or whomever helps you need to be aware of. Discovery and confidentiality. In the case that I described earlier, where we were monitoring a client's channel in real time, it was related to someone making inquiries that touched both discovery and confidentiality. And what we did was screenshot the behavior, talk to the person, and immediately delete the posts and alert our client and their practice what happened, so that they could pick up the phone and deal with the individual privately in terms of how it worked. But what I can say to you, don't be afraid of the channels. You know, the channels are definitely a part of people's day-to-day experience and how they want to communicate with you, but we just need a plan together to make sure that ethics aren't something that's violated in what you're doing. So now I wanted to take a couple of minutes before we open it up for questions to dive into the individual channels, show you a couple of examples of successful practices, successful practice pages to give you some ideas. Much more of best practices will be shared with you as part of the follow-ups of today's webinar. And of course, if you have questions about your individual practice, make sure you let Jason know, because we want to cover all of that. The first channel I want to jump into is Facebook. Even if LinkedIn is #1 for attorneys, Facebook is #1 for audience. There are 1.5 billion active users worldwide on this channel. It's an excellent space to have a good presence to reach consumers for your practice, but it may not be the one where you are having the most conversations. I recommend that every practice have at minimum a page that a professional page that represents their practice that they are posting on a semi-regular basis, because it is where the majority of the community is going to be located. And I showed just a couple examples of one larger practice that's showing its attorneys and its team, and one that is using a branding treatment to talk about where they specialize in terms of their practice. This tends to be one that we set up notifications, so the second someone posts anything, we're notified, and because it's where consumer interaction happens the most. There's also tremendous opportunities for you here in paid advertising. For all of our work that we do with law practices, we build in a certain amount of paid advertising per month, because it can easily help us target and acquire new audience members. It's terrific for call to action, and can give us a really interesting opportunity, because for those of you who have leveraged Facebook, Facebook knows a lot about you as a user, which gives me a lot of opportunity to target. For example, one targeting opportunity that we can have are people that have listed their marital status from married to it's complicated or single, which tends to drive good leads for attorneys that handle divorce or family counseling, family law. Twitter gives you an abundant opportunity to broadcast your message, to build brand awareness and thought leadership if you are blogging or doing anything in that space. It also is a fantastic tool for listening. We can use this tool to listen for people that are using what we would call pain words like need lawyer or anything like that. And if you have questions about how to build Twitter into your strategy, and if it's even right for you, make sure that you let Jason know, and we can look at your specific practice and give you some ideas there. Google+, as I mentioned, is not necessarily a place where we are winning the hearts and minds of consumers and having them chat with us. On the other hand, it is a powerhouse for driving local search. If you are able to read the numbers on the two screenshots I've used here, you'll see that they have lower follower counts just under the follow button, but they have come up hundreds of thousands of times in search. And it's because if this page is populated with content, Google considers that to be a very relevant practice and will bump it up in rankings. LinkedIn is a premier social network of choice for attorneys, and I've shown you here an example of an optimized law practice page as well as an optimized individual profile for an attorney. We recommend having attorney and practice profiles. If you have questions on how to leverage it, make sure you let Jason know. In deference to time, I want to make sure I'm speeding up so that we cover everything today. If you have the opportunity to do videos, I would highly recommend that you do them. They can be professionally produced with an intro image like this one was, or they could be produced even on your phone. YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world, owned by Google, which is the first largest search engine in the world, and many people search for video instead of text in terms of getting their questions answered. This is an example of a terrific video answering a common question typed into search engines by one law office. And finally, reputation management matters a lot. If you're concerned about reviews about you or your practice, about monitoring what people are saying on the web about you or your practice, let us know. We have a dashboard that can monitor all of that for you and alert you instantly, or really it's more like every couple of days when somebody says anything about you or your brand. If you have any questions about how to create a social channel, whether a strategy is required for you, whether you need help with posting, or you're interested in learning how to attract potential clients with blogs or video, let Jason know and he can give you some information on how to take care of websites, mobile websites, social, reputation management, blogs, content, or video. We have options in all of those areas. We can also give you more specific tips on how to do them yourself, if that's what you'd like. So overall, you want to be thinking about, first of all, you need a mobile-friendly website because Google is pushing down the relevance of any website that does not appear well on mobile because more than half of all searches are done in mobile. You need to make sure you can be found in search if somebody already knows what they want. And then if people are using word of mouth, which is traditionally done today through social media and or sharing links of content, those are your three critical elements to shining online. So I understand that we only have 2 minutes left or so in our time, and I know that all of your time is precious. I want to open it up for questions and let you know that Jason will also be jumping in to tell you about all the data that we have that we can send you as follow-ups to thank you for your time in joining us today.
Thank you, Shannon. We got to do more of these. There's a lot to cover. I have a few pertinent questions here. So when it comes to those directories like Yelp, Aveo, FindLaw, what are your thoughts there? How does that link up to the the social media strategies?
That's a great question. We definitely recommend optimizing listings on those directories for a couple of reasons. The first one is they tend to be leveraged when people are checking up on a potential practice that they'd like to do business with, or they may search there. And the second reason is having a strong optimized listing on those channels helps you perform more highly in search rankings. So for many of our practices that we work with, we look at those channels and optimize them to the extent that we can. In many cases, we're able to do it during with the free version of those listings versus paid. That's
a good point. Yeah, I've noticed we were working with one client and they were spending so much in FindLaw, but their FindLaw page wasn't even showing up. Their Yelp page was showing up, which they weren't even paying for. So that's why you have to look at. Yelp is much more
optimized.
Yeah, where are people actually going, and how much is it worth your time and effort? One more question is regarding video. How do you see with the advent of social media of using this more not indie but organic type video with your firm?
Video can be a very powerful very powerful way to illustrate the sort of the culture, the feel, and the expertise of your practice. So it's nice to have a video about your practice. The other thing that we've seen being the strongest drivers of leads are doing what I showed in the example on YouTube, which is answering common questions. Because in many cases, what people are typing into the search box of either Google or YouTube is, do I need a prenuptial agreement? And when they type in those questions, when you're the one answering them, and your phone number and call to action is at the end of the video, it's really very helpful for people in purchase behavior. It shifts them in your direction quickly.
Yeah, and I remember, one thing we talk about it. What are those frequently asked questions that you get all over and over again, and addressing those in video. It doesn't have to be the highest production, but you want to answer their questions so that you start to build your credibility.
That's right.
So this has been fantastic. We want to be mindful again of your time. It's 12:31, so we did it. Thank you so much for joining us. I will email you a copy of the webinar so that you can go back over points if you didn't write something down. But please schedule your what we call a digital audit. I know that word's scary, but really it's just a look at your firm. What is the digital landscape? Where is your firm showing up? Are you missing out on these places like LinkedIn? Do you even need Twitter? So those are the type of questions we'll help you answer so that you can attract more clients in 2016 and get back to doing what you wanted to do, and that is practice law and help your clients. So thank you again so much. If you want to stay informed, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to do more of these webinars. We blog regularly. We have even a podcast out to help with this area of digital marketing. Go to thelightdigital.com/blog and you'll find our blog there, or /podcast, and you'll find our podcast. Shannon, thanks for joining us. I know you're flying out to speak for 5 hours the next 3 days at a conference, so I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.